All right, let's jump right in. We all think we know how car rentals work. I mean, it seems simple enough, right? You need a car, you go rent one. But what's going on behind the curtain? Well, that's a whole different story. It's this super complex business just packed with problems. So today, we're going to look at an idea that takes that entire model and flips it totally upside down.
And this really gets you thinking. The whole industry pours billions of dollars into managing customers, dealing with damages, all the logistics. But what if all of that is just a symptom of a much bigger problem? What if the real issue, the thing that causes all the friction, is the basic idea that the rental company has to own the cars to begin with?
Okay, so before we get to the wild solution, we've really got to understand the problem. And I mean, for anyone who's ever tried to run a rental business, doesn't matter if it's a giant company or just you with a single car on Turo, the headaches are so real. We're talking about those hidden costs that just chew away at your profits and cause nonstop stress.
Just picture the day-to-day grind for a second. You've got cars just sitting there, completely idle, not making you a dime. You're constantly playing this game of shuffling your fleet around, trying to guess seasonal demand. You're burning hours delivering cars, picking them up, and then you've got the really big stuff, the crazy expensive insurance, the never-ending arguments over a cigarette smell or some tiny little scratch, and, oh yeah, the constant fear that someone's going to use a stolen credit card. It is an absolute minefield.
So how on earth do you solve all of those problems at once? Well, the idea here isn't to patch them up one by one. It's to change the entire game. And this is where it gets really interesting. What if, instead of the rental company giving a car to the customer brought the car to the rental company?
Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. The customer shows up with the car that they want to rent out. It sounds like a brain teaser, right? But that is the absolute core of the idea we're digging into. The person who needs the service is the same person who's providing the car in the first place. Now, this isn't just some random, quirky thought. It's actually a structured concept, and it's called the Owntic model. Here's the gist of it. A customer brings their own car to your rental business. You, the operator, can then rent that exact same car out to somebody else. And just like that, poof, the huge cost of buying and maintaining a fleet of cars is just gone. It completely flips who's responsible for the inventory and all the risk that comes with it.
You know, the real magic of this model isn't just about what it adds to the business. It's about what it takes away. The whole point is to systematically knock down the industry's oldest, most expensive problems one by one.
And you can see the difference so clearly when you put them side by side. In the old school model, the operator is carrying almost all the weight. You're the one buying the car, you're the one getting the insurance, you're the one fighting chargebacks for tickets, and you're basically a giant target for fraud. But in the Owntic model, that whole list of headaches gets shuffled around. Take fraud, for instance. That risk just plummets because, hey, the person bringing you the car is already the confirmed owner.
So let's run through this no more list, starting with the absolute biggest one. That massive upfront cash you need to buy a fleet of cars? Gone. It's no longer your problem. Your inventory literally walks in the door when your customer does.
Next up, all that wasted time on logistics. You know, driving all over town, waiting around for a renter to show up, trying to coordinate a pickup time. All of that just vanishes. Why? Because the car is already there, at your spot, brought right to you by its owner.
And then there's insurance. Oh man, insurance is a notoriously huge cost in this business. Trying to cover a whole bunch of different cars for who knows how many drivers is super complex and expensive. Well, with this model, the platform is set up to handle the insurance, pulling that massive, unpredictable cost right off your books.
What about those classic annoying headaches? You know, the arguments over who's responsible for a tiny little scuff mark or that lingering smell of smoke. The idea here is that because the car's owner is actually part of the whole system, it's way clearer who's responsible for what. That should cut down on those endless, frustrating debates.
And this one is huge from a security standpoint. The single biggest fraud risk in car rentals is someone using a fake ID to basically just steal a car. But in this world, the person giving you the car is already the verified owner. That could pretty much wipe out that whole category of super high-stakes fraud.
And finally, protecting your money. A renter blows through a red light. A ticket from a camera shows up in the mail weeks later, and suddenly you, the operator, are stuck fighting a chargeback. It happens all the time. By making it clear who's liable, this model is designed to stop you from losing money over stuff like that.
Okay, so that's a whole list of problems this model tries to get rid of. But let's flip the script and talk about the good stuff. How could this actually help your business grow and, make more money?
This is where the flexibility of the model really shines. An idle car is just money down the drain.
But here, your inventory can grow or shrink based on actual demand. Need more cars? Your next customer might just bring one. And get this is a really cool detail. The customer can choose to use the service for their own car, or they can decide to rent a different car from the pool you have available.
This is also a potential game changer for your bottom line. I mean, on some of those other peer-to-peer platforms, hosts can end up paying these massive commissions, sometimes as high as 40%. This model is all about putting that money back where it belongs, in the operator's pocket. That could completely change how profitable each and every rental is.
But wait, what about the risk of someone just not paying? Well, the model has an answer for that, and it's a really important feature: payment assurance. The idea is if a renter can't pay their fee, the platform itself steps in. It's like a safety net to make sure you, the operator, always get paid.
So when you add it all up, getting rid of all that risk, slashing costs, gaining all this flexibility, and having those financial safety nets, you just have to step back and ask yourself, is this just a quirky little idea, or could this be a peek into a totally new way of doing car rentals? At the end of the day, it all boils down to one powerful promise. The whole goal is to take the industry's biggest weaknesses, cars just sitting around and money lost on opportunities, and turn them into strengths. It's all about being way more efficient than the old model ever could be.
And that leaves us with one last big question. We've all seen how companies like Airbnb and Uber completely turned their industries inside out by rethinking one simple thing: who owns the asset? So, could a model that does the exact same thing for cars, a model where the customer brings the inventory, be the next huge disruption? It's definitely something to think about.